Today, we have the immense pleasure of speaking with a true icon of Malawian music, Francis Chris Phiri, better known to most and maybe you as Lawi. Born in Blantyre in 1986, Lawi is more than just a name. He's a sensation whose music has resonated far beyond Malawi's borders. Welcome back to the Kwathu Conversation, where we delve into the heart of creativity and innovation across Africa. If you are just tuning in, you're in for a treat, but remember to fully grasp the vibrant tapestry of the creative industry in Malawi. You will want to start from the very beginning of this series. This series is brought to you by the Copyright Fund under Kosoma. I am Nthanda Manduwi and I'll be your host. From his early days strumming the guitar in church to becoming a celebrated Afro-soul artist, Lawi's journey is nothing short of inspiring. His soulful melodies, rich vocals, and thought-provoking lyrics blend traditional Malawian sounds with contemporary influences, creating a fusion that is unique but also captivating. Lawi's musical journey is complemented by his impactful role as a humanitarian. He's been an ambassador for organizations like Save the Children, UN Women, and recently Mary's Meals, and he uses his platform to advocate for youth and children's rights, promoting positive social change. His powerful songs such as Grow Child and Dengo speak volumes about his commitment to social issues. With a discography that includes acclaimed albums like Lawi in 2013, Sunset in the Sky in 2019, 30s in 2022, and the eagerly awaited More to Come 2024, Lawi continues to enrich our lives with his music and his message. So sit back and get ready to dive into an enlightening conversation with one of Malawi's brightest stars. Lawi, welcome to the conversation.
Thank you very much.
So I am reading your artist profile here.
Yeah.
We come from a nation where music is not recognized as a means to sustain a livelihood, as children were discouraged from pursuing music as a career, and instead were encouraged to focus on education. So one day, you could get a job in an office.
Yeah.
That was very interesting.
Absolutely. The dynamic has since changed, though.
Yeah.
Because, well, case in point.
Yeah, here you are.
I live off music.
We are at your home. Beautiful home.
Well, thank you.
Beautiful
Thank you
home.
very much.
Yeah.
Back then, the idea of you being solely a musician and making a living off of it seemed to be very impossible.
Yeah.
Because there were no examples. And the industry was not as consolidated as it is right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. But over the years, things have been put in place. Policies have been discussed and developed and actualized. And I could say I'm a beneficiary of some of the earliest of those developments. Yeah.
You speak of policies and developments. Which are the ones that you think have been the most impactful for the music industry in Malawi?
Copyright
Yes.
being one of the, there's quite a lot of change. I know when I'm not making money through performances, my music is still making money
For you. When it's getting played.
Mechanical, you know.
Yes.
I'm still making money.
You're making money.
Yeah.
That's good. Passive income. We talk about that as
Absolutely,
entrepreneurs.
Yes.
Speaking of music as a business.
Yeah.
When you were starting with music, did you think of music as a business at the time, or were you just like, I want to creatively express? When did it become a business for you?
Most likely somewhere around 2012. Because before then, it was something I was very passionate about. Yeah, so I was just
pure
producing music, making music, playing music, and developing my craft ready for the market. Yeah. 2013, early 2013, I decided to put out my first album.
Yeah.
And it's been business since.
Yeah, it's been business since.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you realize it's a business, what structures did you set up around yourself? I know you probably have a management team, now you have a full band or all of that. What was that process like?
Absolutely. Set myself up as a business. Yeah. As an artist, I am the individual.
Yeah.
But as Lawi, the brand, I needed to be the business.
The business, yes.
So I needed to quickly grow to to understand the importance of having a CEO, run my business, and the rest of the structure
from there on.
to support the growing demand, because I used to be a hot commodity at the time.
Yes, of course. So, there's Lawi everywhere.
Yeah, just as it is with any new product in the market, there were learning curves within the process.
Of course.
And there was a good and a bad to that also. Yeah, especially now mushrooming in an industry that wasn't really well structured.
Yes.
Yeah. But well, I learned a lot.
Yeah.
I've grown a lot. I have experienced a lot.
Yeah.
And that also pushed us to make things right, set up things better, so that for as long as we exist in the next generation, we'll thrive in this industry.
Yeah.
We needed to make it a better environment for the craft to survive.
I see.
Yeah.
How many instruments do you play?
Maybe about 5.
Which ones?
Drums, keys, guitars, the recorder. How many of those?
4.
Okay, guitars, like all guitars.
All
pretty
guitars.
much.
Okay. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
And when did you start playing?
When I was 7, 8.
7, 8. In the church choir?
Kinda.
Okay, kinda. I want to hear the story.
So my mother was a church woman. And she introduced me to church. When she goes to practice, choir practice, then it was choir practice. I used to sneak around and go into the room where they stored, music instruments, and
play around with them, test it
get
out.
familiar.
Yeah.
So, my love grew, my curiosity grew. Each time that I came across an instrument, I wanted to try just to hear and see how, I could do on it. Yeah.
Who are some of the key people that taught you music when you look back?
Most likely the people that I interacted with in the studios, the early studios that I went to. Yeah, there used to be a gentleman. He's still there. He's now based in the U.S. His name is Chimwemeka Mwana. Very amazing guy. He's a big music guy, and then Michael Montali. Others know him as Dynamite.
Yeah.
Genius.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So when we think of music, I think of innovation and tech, and I think when you speak of guitars and all of this, like there's a lot of tech and innovation in music. How do you view that innovation plays a part in the music industry?
It always changes the face of music. Always. As a creative myself, as a player, I'm always looking for new stuff.
Yeah.
There's new sounds developed every day.
Yes.
And I need to find a way to keep up. Because,
all of that.
Yeah, see, you can produce beautiful music or you can create beautiful music, but if you're not using the right gear based on the sound, because, see, where people listen to sound from right now has changed quite a lot. From let's say, the 90s to now. This is
from the mainstream.
What used to be a good pair of sound, let's say if it was a hi-fi or a boombox or whatever, may not sound as good now. Right now,
device.
You know what I mean. So it's a combination of both the instruments that you use to create the music, but also what you use to listen to the music on. So there's always that constant growth for a creative to balance in between the tools that you use in your craft against what will play or what will be used to play that art on the outside.
Okay. You speak of growth. I know your recent album is 30s.
Yes.
You're in your 30s.
Absolutely, yeah.
What does
Time.
growth mean to you at the moment?
Well, it's an interesting process to observe. Big decisions. It's a time when I'm learning to accept other things, but also let go of other things. Sometimes as a young person, you hoard things.
Yes.
And letting go is a difficulty.
It's not easy.
It's a combination of many things, childhood traumas and maybe misunderstanding. Sometimes general knowledge on how to navigate within life.
Yeah.
So I have learned to, I think I've come to a place where I fully understand who I am.
Yeah.
I know my worth, I know my value, I know my purpose, I know my capabilities, I know what I need to do to contribute to the different societies that I belong to.
Yeah.
And kind of makes it easy for me to make decisions.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. I love it.
Yeah.
Like I'm getting close to 30 and I'm like, I
Right.
finally know who I am.
Yeah,
I get it.
it's a beautiful time.
It's a beautiful time.
Yeah.
So speaking of society and contributing to society, collaboration is a big part of what we do,
yeah.
especially as creatives. What have been some of your favorite collaborative projects, and who are some of the people that you've collaborated with that you just loved working with them?
Oh, so in the recent years, I've also had the opportunity to make music, beautiful music, with global icons. Yeah. I've had to make music with some of the people that I've always looked up to. Yeah. I've interacted with the late Uncle Ray Peary.
Yeah.
Who I learned quite a lot from. I grew from that experience.
Just interacting. Yeah.
Yes, I interacted with Mte Mkandawire.
Yes.
I interacted with Oliver Mtugudzi, the late.
Yeah.
Then I've also interacted with the legendary PJ Powers. I've made music in the studio with all these people.
Yes.
How
was that experience?
It was amazing. So there's something that you can't get in this generation, but only from the old.
Of course.
Yeah, their understanding of music, their interpretation, their wisdom, their experience.
Yeah.
Unmatched.
What they know.
Yeah. So I needed to come to that level where I can access this information and apply it in my own life. And also experiment a combination of the old and the new, and see what kind of cocktail that would give us, you know. Yeah. But I've also had the opportunity to collaborate with the next generation of musicians.
Yeah, the ones that are coming up now.
Yeah, from Malawi.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. I'm doing that for both Malawi and South Africa right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you are partly based, or you were based in South Africa, Johannesburg.
Yeah,
okay,
yes,
cool.
yes.
Okay, so you're in between. You're there.
A lot of the times. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I want to get into your creative process.
Okay.
What does that look like from getting an idea to having a song out?
So my ideas come in a very interesting, funny way. I think, like most musicians, you don't plan to get an idea. It just comes.
It just comes.
Yeah. You could be going through a moment, and all of a sudden you feel an inkling to write or put together something. So this can happen to me in the night.
Yeah.
I could just wake up.
Just like, I have this idea.
Yeah,
I have to see it through.
Yeah. So from the idea in my mind to my phone, either through lyrics or through audio notes, you know, and perhaps if I'm closer to my instrument, my first instrument, which is the guitar, I'll pick up the guitar and try figure out where I'm comfortable with it, and determine the progression and you know the basic of it, and I'll keep that on my phone. And when I get to the studio, where most of the times wherever I am, I set up a studio anyway.
Yeah, of
So
course. You have to have a place to work from.
At any time.
Yeah.
So I'll make sure that I get into the studio also and further the idea just to hear how it
sounds.
Sound. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just an idea. How long does it take from getting an idea to having a song? What's the duration?
Okay, so truthfully, I should say I'm different. Sometimes I think I'm lazy. Yeah, because it takes too much time for me to put together a song.
It's just being a creative.
But I can do a song depending on the idea. I could write a song in a day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Be done with it.
Because sometimes it's possible to do that. I can write a song in a day, and based on the feeling that it gives me, I can go into the studio the same day.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to lose that feeling, and I produce it. So I produce music myself.
Yeah.
So it's quite easy for me to interpret the ideas right from the heart.
Yeah.
To understand
yeah.
exactly what I want to hear. Yeah, and if I'm satisfied, well, I'll let it rest.
Sit for a minute.
Yeah, sometimes it could take a year to come back to it, but it's an idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know now you have been named the Global Ambassador for Mary's Mills.
Yeah.
Amazing. Congratulations,
yes.
first of all.
Thank you. Thank you.
I want to hear more about your journey with the convergence of creativity and advocacy work.
Right.
Where do you see creativity playing a role in advocacy work?
See, art transforms spaces, all spaces, you know. See, what you see now, the artists saw first. You know, these structures, the houses, the buildings, the roads, any infrastructure, the cars, whatever design, the artist saw it first, and then you get to appreciate the final, you know, creation. And so I believe that involving arts in development work, or taking art into the human space and allowing for it to contribute thoroughly is of great benefit to humanity, because if we speak help, the idea of being sufficiently able to help can only come if there's communication that is interesting enough to propel
that message.
You know, so I believe that it's our responsibility as creatives to craft those messages creatively, make sure that they're enticing well enough and effective enough as well to achieve the goal. Yeah.
From a business aspect, do you think there's a lot of value in creatives tapping into development and advocacy work?
Absolutely. So it depends perhaps what we define value as, and perhaps also to who does that benefit. There's benefit for both the creative and the communities where these creatives thrive or come from. I'll give an example. My being in this community requires for me to acknowledge the people that I coexist with.
Of course.
Right? There's kids on the street.
Yes.
Lawi. You know, so it's nice. It feels good for me. I know I'm not only interacting with young people, but I'm also inspiring a younger generation to one day become their dream is to become somebody like me. Or they would one day tell a story. We lived in a neighborhood and Lawi lived there.
Like
when they see Lawi doing greater things in the world, they'll relate. They will say, no,
I can do it too.
Yeah, I can do it. If he was in my neighborhood,
he lives right there. I see him.
just across the road, you know. And I believe that kind of benefit, you can't really put value onto it, but it's but it's very important. It's great. And for me as well, because I thrive in this environment, it helps me create based on real life experiences, where the craft is then appreciated. Guess what? I might have wrote songs from this space.
Yeah.
While I heard the sound of the birds.
Yes.
Or the sound of the people working.
The sound I miss the most, actually, the birds when I
Yeah,
travel. I'm like, you guys don't have birds.
or the kids running, and and those are things I can't sum up, but they're of great benefit to me as well.
So value.
The money, the superficial things are the end of it. A very small portion of it.
There's so much value. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so what impact do you believe your ambassadorship roles have had on your career as a musician? And how many have you had too? Let's know in terms of brands you've worked with.
I've had quite okay. So I've worked with a lot of non-governmental organizations over the years. From 2013 to now, they're more than I can count. Yeah. But I've worked with UN Women. I've worked with UNHCR. I've worked with Save the Children. I'm now working with Mary's Meals. I've worked with Plan International. Well, quite a lot. Yeah.
Okay, so how has that added to your value as a musician, if you feel like it has at all?
So it's something that I would say it depends on the relationship that you have with the organizations.
The officers there.
Yeah. From the time that I first started working with some of these organizations, I would say that most of the relationships were kind of one way.
Okay.
So they know what they want,
but
and they're not willing or open enough to take your contributions in order to shift.
Or like co-creation of
you know what I mean?
Yeah, like they're very stiff, like we want this.
Diversify.
Yeah, does it create it?
You know what I mean? Yeah, so for me, it's like you're inviting me to a space to box me. And
you're like, we want this song.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I'm like,
and you're like, my process doesn't quite work like
that. You know what I mean? So it's been very different. And like now, though, now...
There's a bit of evolution.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's a lot more creatives on the other side, too, I
think.
Yeah.
So when you say the arts, now you're seeing organizations employ students or graduates from the university with arts degrees.
That understand
and now they understand what needs to be done. So that relationship has that relationship has better.
Okay. Now, speaking of resources, especially for young creatives like you were when you were starting out, what are some of the resources that you see out there now that maybe somebody who's just starting out can tap into?
Grants to begin with. Now they're like all over the place. I think there are quite many organizations that I have noticed that are offering technical support. But also the most basic resource within Malawi is the presence of industry gurus.
Yes, of course, accessible too.
And they're accessible. I mean, you can write us on Instagram, you can write us on WhatsApp. Malawi, being a celebrity in Malawi is not that, it's not like out there. You know what I mean?
Very
Malawi is a village. And
very communal.
Yes. So, everybody would pretty much know everybody, or somebody would know somebody, you know. So to make use of that mostly available resource is quite important.
Okay. Now you speak of having worked with some legends yourself.
Yes.
What's the most valuable advice? I know there's a lot, but that you've received in your career that you were like, that really changed me.
Appreciate people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Simple.
I appreciate people. It's not the money. It's who you know.
Yeah.
It's how you relate.
Yeah, to people.
Yeah. I'll tell you that I've been to places where I never thought I would be in the world, across the world, because of the people that I know, and also how we interacted. The disciplines that we embody, our values. Respect for others. And acknowledging strengths. We're different, yet in our uniqueness, we complement each other.
Absolutely.
And valuing people is something that I would always encourage somebody to do.
Absolutely. It's a big one. It's a big one.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of the Malawian music industry, I know we've come so far, and we still have a long way to go.
Yeah.
what are some of the key things that you want to see done better in terms of Malawian music, whether it's from the creative's perspective or the support from other people?
Create what is truly our own. Yeah. See, the world is listening to Nigeria.
Yes.
The world is listening to South Africa. The world is now listening to Tanzania.
Yes, and they have their sound.
Yeah. The world needs to hear from Zambia.
Yeah.
The world needs to hear from Malawi,
Malawi.
Mozambique. You know, the world has heard the music of Zimbabwe for a very long time.
Yeah.
The world has heard the music of the DRC for a long time.
Yeah.
When the moment a song plays on radio, you can easily identify and say, this comes from this part of the continent, you know. Same thing, Malawi is also distinct. Being a musician and a producer in different spaces where very well-established musicians exist, you hear comments like, whose guitar is that?
Okay.
Whose sound is that? And you know they're affiliating it to a different part. Just as you can hear Indian music and you simply say, no, this is Indian music.
Yeah.
Right? In the same way, when you hear music from Africa, you can simply tell, soundi yagu West Africa.
Yeah, West Africa.
Soundi yagu Malawi. Soundi yagu Zambia. Yagu Mozambique. You know? So Malawi has that sound as well. And it's time for us to amplify that and present that to the rest of the world.
Okay, so having worked in the space for as long as you have, how can you define the Malawian sound?
It's beautiful.
I'll hear that,
Yeah, it's very beautiful. Yeah,
it's very
beautiful. And the sound of Malawi is also gentle.
True.
Yeah.
You capture it quite well, actually.
Yeah, Malawians don't rush at
anything.
Yeah.
Anything.
Yeah.
We're very
most
mellow.
of the times I remember coming from Joburg. Now Joburg is like 120, you know, and then you come to Lilongwe and you're like 50, you know, and then you go to Blantyre, you're like 40.
Exactly.
You know? Yeah. We don't rush. There's a good to it. It ensures that we pay attention to, you know, to the
details. True.
Yeah, perhaps within ourselves, we just needed to be confident enough to believe in who we are. Before that, perhaps understand our background, our history. You know, so that when we go forward,
where we're coming from.
Yeah, like I can make you listen to Malawian music. That was great. This music played, many years ago. You know, and it did really well. Just for another generation to come and copy
all of that,
what is not Malawian, you know, and take pride in that. Like I would say, you for some reason you can play music like a South African, but you won't play music as a South African.
True.
Okay.
True.
So if you can play, let's say, piano, amapiano. You can play amapiano as a Malawian, but not as a South African.
True. It won't get there.
It's their music.
It's their sound.
Right? Just like I can't be good at playing Indian music. Or
Absolutely.
you know,
you try.
Yeah. But I can't be, you know what I mean? I'm not Indian. I'm Malawian.
That's
so
their
I can
sound.
best play Malawi music like the Malawian should, you know, to embrace that and bring that out. Is what we should do.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a question for you, but before I get to it, I want to hear, what's your favorite song by you?
By me?
Well, I know you have.
Okay, it must be one of the songs from my recent album. Well, now that you ask me, I'm now conflicted. But it must be.
Yeah, there can be more than one if you want.
Yeah, it can be Monga Nyerere.
Okay.
Monga Nyerere is a song that encourages you to work hard,
Okay.
just like ants do. You know what they do.
I know. They're very hardworking. There's actually a film, Ant Life or something.
Oh yeah,
on Disney.
I've seen it.
Yes, I get it.
Yes, I love that film.
Very hardworking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
See different sides of art.
I know.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, my favorite is.
Yeah.
I know it might be random, but Timalira. I
Wow.
love that song. What was the inspiration?
So for most of the songs, it's life itself, okay? Because we draw everything from it, you know. At the time, I was going through one of the low moments in my life.
And as a man, you don't cry. That's what they say.
Okay, so where we come from, they tell you, men don't cry.
Men don't cry.
So in being strong, many men have lost themselves. Others have also lost they've lost touch with
themselves.
Being able to articulate complex issues about themselves or about life.
Yeah.
Many have failed to contribute better to their families or to life
because they're strong
in general, because they're broken, broken from inside.
Of course, pretending to be strong.
Yeah. So when I wrote that song, it was really to say to the man and everybody else that it is actually okay to cry, because it's not only an emotion that has to biologically exercise itself just as we are designed like that,
part of life.
But it's also a means to release
some emotions, strong emotions.
Yeah, very things that sometimes could be unspoken. You can't bundle them in words.
Yeah, exactly.
But you can just express,
and you just let it roll,
and you find your healing. Yeah,
that's important.
Yeah.
All right. Any advice to young and upcoming creatives, not just musicians, but any kind of creative?
I would say be kind.
Be kind is a good one.
Yeah. When you're kind, the world will give you that as well.
Yeah. Gives you back
when you give kindness, the world will give you kindness as well. Yeah. If you're proud, pride will stand in the way of many things.
Yes.
Yeah. Your level of humility, and humility is not becoming a puppet.
Of course.
Yeah. Being humble is actually from knowing yourself, your self-worth.
Being grounded.
Good morals, principles, disciplines, and acknowledging that others deserve the same. And then you give to life that as a gift.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. The wonderful, amazing, talented Lawi, speaking to us about music in Malawi, but not just in Malawi, also across the borders, discovering the Malawian sound and what we can do to grow as Malawian creatives.
Nalule